Hey guys, welcome back. Rigo Australia here. Today we're talking you through storing your golf cart. So what we've noticed over the past couple of years is that typically after any holiday period, we hear of customers coming back to their golf cart and finding the batteries are flat and it won't work. So we want to talk you through some ways to minimize that experience. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you. So we are talking specifically about electric golf carts here. Some of what we say is going to apply to lithium only models, and some of it will apply to lead acid models as well. So it's just general sort of information with nothing too specific. First thing we're going to talk about is how to minimize the chances of you having a problem when you return to your golf cart. I would certainly say if you're leaving the golf cart for any period greater than a week, these are the things that I would do to minimize the chances of having a problem when I return. First thing, really obvious one, just make sure all the accessories are turned off. Lights, anything that's providing any level of power. You can see there we've got our voltage reducer, our USB with the screen on, so you just want to minimize stuff like that. Our one is wired to the key switch, but sometimes they're not, and they're going to take constant power, which we'll talk about how to stop that in the next step. So yeah, obviously just make sure any accessory fitted to the vehicle is turned off. The next thing you're going to want to do, if you have a lithium battery with an on and off switch, turn the battery off. So if you're leaving it for any meaningful period, I would say, certainly a week or more, always turn the battery off. That's just going to minimize any parasitic drain from the battery while you're not present. But the other thing you can do that most vehicles are capable of, even if you don't have a lithium battery, and that's to switch it from run to tow. That works like a battery isolation switch. It's going to isolate the battery from most of the parts of the golf cart, like the controller, and that's going to minimize parasitic drain. So if you were to leave it in run and leave the golf cart for a period of time, over an extended period, the standby power that's provided to the controller does add up to a meaningful amount and will over time drain the battery. The other one that we see pretty commonly is voltage reducers. So we've got a 70 volt battery here and a voltage reducer to 12 volt here. This is quite a large one. Usually they're a lot smaller than this one, but these are often connected directly to the battery, and they will over time consume energy. So a really important thing there, make sure the battery's turned off. Otherwise, even if you follow the other steps of this video, you may find yourself with a flat battery. The other thing I would say, this is only applies to lithium, but if you're going to store a lithium golf cart for any period of time, I would try and aim for a state of charge of about 50%, somewhere between 45 and maybe no higher than 70. So storing lithium for any meaningful period of time in that range would certainly be suggested. There's a couple of reasons why. I wouldn't store it at, I certainly wouldn't finish my game of golf and come back with 10% and store the battery in that state, because you'd risk depleting some of that energy over the period of which you're not present, and then that may lead to a flat battery. But at the other end of the scale, I also wouldn't recommend storing lithium batteries at 100%. The chemical makeup of the battery does mean that with lithium iron phosphate there is some degradation when the battery is stored at high levels of state of charge. It's not going to destroy the battery in one event, but you might find it does lead to some additional battery degradation, which over time could shorten the life of the battery. So yeah, I would generally recommend storing in that 45 to 70% range, ideally around 50, but yeah, somewhere in that sort of range if you can. And then the other thing I would say, when you return to your golf cart from any period of leaving it, weeks, months, whatever it is, I would always charge it after, regardless of what the state of charge, whatever the gauge says. Even if the gauge says 70% and you're only going to use it for a short period, I would ensure that you fully charge it before using it. And the reason I say this is the state of charge is calibrated once you charge it. So I would fully charge it. We've seen lots of cases where the state of charge calculation, particularly if it's been left for a period of time will become inaccurate. So, you know, you might see some dramatic drops in state of charge percentage, and you might think there's something wrong, but it's usually to do with calibration of the remaining state of charge, which is, as I said, calculated when the vehicle is fully charged. So fully charge it to 100%, and the BMS will calibrate, or the battery management system of the lithium battery will then calibrate how much capacity is remaining. Hopefully these tips and tricks, you know, ensure that you don't have a flat battery in your golf cart. It can be challenging, certainly with lithium batteries. If they do go too flat, there's a risk of damaging the battery, and they're not always easy to charge back up. If you've got lead acid and you don't have a run and tow switch, some of the older models don't have a run and tow switch. A couple of options for you. You can fairly easily fit an isolation switch in line, or alternatively, another easy one is you can just disconnect the negative battery terminal and just leave that loose. That's the main negative on the circuit. Disconnect that lead, and you should be okay to leave it for, you know, a not too long a period. I wouldn't leave lead acid for more than a couple of months, but if you were to leave it for a few weeks and you disconnected the negative terminal, you should be okay. So hopefully these tips and tricks help you and you don't end up with a flat battery. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content like this. Rigar Australia.